Hello, my friends, family, esteemed colleagues. Request came for me to address keratosis pilaris. Now, what is keratosis pilaris? Well, some people experience rough skin, usually patches of the skin, resembling goosebumps, for example. Very often related also to dry patches. And most of the time they do not itch, but they could itch and they could be reddish, although most of the times they are not. They are same color of the skin. And according to the science, this is not considered as a disease. It's considered as anomaly, as another variation of a skin, and deemed to be non-curable, that this is kind of normal in some people, most likely genetically, of course, related. But then it says that if it happens to younger people, which usually happens to young children, young adults, that by the age of 30, it usually goes away. Well, considering it being just another type of a skin, this is nonsense, because we know right away that something is not right here. Now, I don't know if it makes sense for me to show you what the science tells us about it, because you can do it yourself. Just, check keratosis pilaris and you will see that it happens mostly with children and affects certain parts of the body more than other parts. Usually our cheeks, the upper arms, and it could be also happening in the back and on buttocks and upper legs. Now, whenever I talk about anomalies or skin problems, I always point to the fact that the skin is our protective layer, but also as a functions of each one of them is detox, elimination of toxic elements. But through skin also we control the temperature of the body. And by bringing more moisture to the skin, we create evaporation which cools the body down. Now, whenever I talk about problems on the skin, I point to the fact that, yes, we could damage skin from the outside elements, exposing them to toxic plant, for example, poison ivy, and you get blisters. The skin reacts with inflammation, because whatever skin comes to the skin will also be absorbed. Skin absorbs, same like a mucosal tissue, but much less, but does absorb. Why absorbs less? Because it is always protected with a coating of grease, of fat, cholesterol, which is the outer protection. Now, whenever we have a skin problem, which is not caused for from outside poisoning, well, then it is caused from the inside poisoning. And I have explained that when our body is programmed to constantly cleanse, and that's why we urinate, and this is why we defecate, and this is why we sweat, part of it. As I explained, sweating also controls the body temperature. But through sweat, we also can take out toxic elements from the body. I have explained that primary cleansing organ are kidneys. And through urine, we are taking out surplus and undesirable elements from the blood. Same we do through mucosal tissue. And if we are low on blood plasma and body does not want to lose more plasma by detoxifying because it is low on it, then it is going to try to cleanse the blood by pushing the toxic elements in a subcutaneous tissue underneath the skin. And skin being exposed to outside elements, the cells basically wear out faster. They become toxic faster. And they die and peel off. So skin grows from inside layer to the outside. So it always kind of rotates, it bubbles, it flakes and bubbles. So when you have a toxins here in the subcutaneous tissue, they start getting closer and closer to the top until they are flaked out. But if the toxicity becomes strong, toxins are out of alignment frequencies. They serve as electric resistors. They resist flow of energy. And if we are too dense with them, if the skin is too overly dense with them, well, the energy doesn't flow. And the body is programmed to self-maintain. So usually it flushes the toxic area with plasma, pushing it out. But if cells are dehydrated because they live in toxic environment, so they do not want to accept toxic plasma, toxic lymph, well, they start dehydrating and they cannot cleanse. If the toxicity becomes problematic, then there is override program that triggers hydration, forced hydration, in a particular area which is more affected than the other areas. And through this forced hydration, we call inflammation, it forces pressurized plasma to enter cells so they can use it then for cleansing purposes. And this is why when skin is toxic, underlying layers, we get inflammation as a part of the resolving problem. Of course, we call it a disease to be suppressed. And we attack the inflammation, preventing the body to cleanse itself. And sometimes, rightfully so, because it becomes very uncomfortable, because the inflamed tissue increases volume, creates more pressure on sensory nerve, causes form of itchiness, and progressing into pain. We scratch, we break the skin, and then toxic mucus starts flowing out, and this is part of a faster detox when you break the skin. This is all natural mechanism created to deal with problems. But we should never be in this problem to begin with. We get there because we are low on blood plasma and we do not cleanse correctly through our primary and secondary cleansing organs, which are the kidneys and mucosal tissue. When skin is involved, it becomes very uncomfortable. And why, for example, the keratosis affects face or upper arms? Because they are the most exposed to sun. And we know that sun contains all the correct frequencies of creation that are expressed in a wavelength, in a frequency of light. So they are not all the frequency involved, but whatever there is, it's a properly tuned frequency. And from ultraviolet to infrared, big spectrum, with ultraviolet affecting only the very surface of the skin, but then infrared penetrates deeper and heats up the skin deeper. And what happens when we are exposed to the sun? We are overheating parts of exposed skin. So it needs cooling. So more blood is pushed to this area, more lymph to create moisture and evaporation. But by doing so, toxins which are there in the subcutaneous tissue are being pushed to the surface. And now they irritate the cells more in the upper layers. So the cells stop hydrating because they are toxic. But they need to expel the moisture. So this is now a fight between programs. What to do? Again, body is not conscious. You know, if it would be conscious, would say, okay, I have to get rid of these toxins, and then later on I'm going to heal because this is the better action. But it's not conscious. So it relies on programs and the processor that decides which program is going to be active and which program is going to be in the background. And because of this, what happens? That body is more toxic, it becomes, the skin becomes more toxic. Well, the cells, what do we know about toxic cells? We know that if they cannot detoxify, they become acidic and they cannot hold charge. And as they cannot hold charge, they go into proliferation. And in a proliferation, basically they separate themselves, cut themselves in half, bagging all the garbage on one side, so the cleaner part of the cell can then gain the voltage and recover. And the toxic bag then should be taken out by macrophage. But macrophage, to know that this is a garbage, well, this bag has to be labeled with GCMF protein. When we eat carbohydrates, we do not produce GCMF protein. I explained this. You can check it on my other videos and on my articles. Remember, at the end of every video, I post information of my blog. And you can just copy them and go into my blog, and then in a search window, just type in the word of your interest, and articles will come out. There's more than 1,500 articles in the blog. And if it's a topic skin, just put skin and all the articles will pop out. The problem of making these videos is that everything is related to each other. And to address skin, we have to go everywhere. And the best way where to go is a quantum field and start from there. But then again, every video would be repetition and repetition, repetition, and it would be 5, 6, 7 hours long. So to cut it down, I cannot go into details of every aspect. And that's why you go and look for it by yourself, because it is out there. I put everything out. I don't hold anything back. So once when you understand that the body is not going to support what it doesn't need, and it will adjust to present circumstances. So if you live in toxic environment, well, your body will adjust to it as best as it can, but sometimes the adjustment is not comfortable to us. And having keratosis is body's adjustment to the toxic element of the skin, which are not equally distributed through the skin depending on the activity of blood circulation. And where there is more blood circulation going on, more toxins will end up there, because even when blood is toxic. Now, why children are in this predicament? Well, they are born of toxic mothers. Then they are weaned off of the correct diet when they stop drinking mother's milk, which is all basically protein and fats. And they are pushed into from ketogenic into glucoholic state, which now our medical science calls our correct state, that our cells depend on energy from glucose, which is in our blood here. But how come that every other mammal is constantly in ketogenic state and they also have glucose in the blood? Again, I explained this, so just, I don't want to create another 2-hour video there. So search for the information, it's out there, I put it there. So when we eat incorrectly, our body is pulled out from ketogenic state into glucoholic, which now we call, this is our real state, which is not. And then health issues occur. And one of them is keratosis, pilaris of the skin. Now again, face, upper arms. When we sit short, we have short thighs. If we have back exposed to the sun, back also will be exposed to more heat, which needs more cooling. More toxic elements will go there. And the skin will start defending itself. Where you poison the skin cells are going to start dying faster. And you get additional layers of the skin because you have more layers of dead skin or non-functional layer of skin, which in type of keratosis pilaris shows as a goosebumps. But we know that this is basically accumulated keratin. Keratin, what is keratin? Keratin is a protein that is in the skin as a structural strength layer, brings the strength to the skin, durability. Now, when would this skin layer contain more keratin? Well, always when it is stimulated, when skin is being stimulated. Now, what stimulates the skin? Scratching it. That's stimulation. And automatically, the skin is toxic, which makes it fragile. We know that dehydrated cells are much easier prone to rupturing. Organs, tissue made of these cells will rupture faster. I explained this when we talk about hernias. Basically, when skin becomes more fragile, it is going to be reinforced with more keratin. This is how body works. We have nails. Nails are made of keratin. Now, I don't know if you notice, martial artists that like to break things with their hands or feet, the contact areas where what they are using to break, being it knuckles or being it side of the fist, outside or inside, will start thickening. And it will look like calluses. It becomes very hard. Some of these martial artists, fanatics, they cannot even move their hands anymore. They are locked in a position and they have like hoof growing on them because they are constantly being exposed to a lot of pressure and they are being reinforced constantly. This is happening on a slower scale when you are exposing yourself to elements. Now, you bring more toxicity in the area, so you already have dehydrated cells, and then you create additional friction to it. Like buttocks, you're sitting down all the time, you have pants on, pants rubbing on your shins or t-shirt rubbing on the skin. And all of a sudden, already vulnerable, dehydrated and toxic cells start requiring more protection. And you start building up keratin. So, this is something that doctors are never told because doctors are being kept in the dark so they can be manipulated into doing the cabal's deed, which is depopulation, which is poisoning of the public and killing of the public. And this is what the medicinal approach is all about. We are trained to create and to support disease. Have no clue about healing. This is why every chronic problem becomes unknown mystery. Culprit unknown. If you look into keratosis pilaris, you look for culprit unknown. Could be genetic. Well, wherever culprit is unknown, then it's either genetic or autoimmune, which genetics sometimes is the case because genes react to the environment. If you're in toxic environment, the genes will align in such a way to give instruction to the body to survive in this state. It's not a healthy state, but it's the best possible in given circumstances of vibratory field that is either in our body or we are exposed to it. So we adjust. The children come from toxic mothers, but on top of this, they are being purposefully poisoned through certain protective things that we need to keep healthy. Zumzulas. We got to protect ourselves from zumzulas by giving zumzula directly into the blood, bypassing body's immune defenses. It's a crazy thing that so many people still do not get this. This is why children outgrow some of their problems, because as they are slowly hydrating back, they start recovering the proper vibration, and this results in a healing processes of the body. It's all about vibration. It's all about electromagnetic frequency. So if you have this problem with the skin, or if you have a child with any kind of a skin problem, we are separating skin problem depending on manifestation of a symptom, but basically it's all the same thing because the culprit is the same. And one of the worst things is the low levels of blood plasma. Even children suffer from this. When baby is born of toxic mother and starts drinking mother's milk, which is less toxic than the blood, it starts hydrating and immediately it goes into detox. When we drink milk, we go into detox because milk is plasma. It's water with minerals that we need for cleansing. Also contains other elements, of which some of them are food. So, it is not pure plasma, but you are raising plasma level by drinking milk. So does the baby. And because it's toxic, it goes immediately into detox. And more toxic it is, the stronger are the symptoms of detox. Mild detox would be frequent urination. Stronger detox would be diarrhea. Stronger detox than then would be vomiting, diarrhea, and urination. Stronger detox than this would be skin irritation, eczema, vomiting, diarrhea, and urination. Okay, so this is progress of symptoms of detox of a toxic body. And when child comes up with diarrhea or fever, is one of them too, taking out toxins through sweat. But when child breaks down with a fever and has diarrhea, what do? We medicate. What do you do with medication? You suppress. You attack the body with toxic stuff, so it stops cleansing. It goes into protective mode. And when it stops cleansing, it stops releasing toxins from a tissue and from the cells into the blood, because cells close down, tissue tightens up. So no more pollution goes into the blood, and then slowly you eliminate the toxic element of medicinal remedies that you took in, together with the impurities in the blood, and your symptoms of disease, which is no disease at all, it's your natural healing, cleansing effect, are gone. But what happened? All the toxins remain in your tissue and in your cells. So accumulation from then on continues. And every time body wants to detoxify, anytime you get runny nose, watery eyes, swollen glands, little fever, bingo, you got bombarded with more toxins to stop this process, stopping the body from healing itself, from cleansing itself. This is the heart of our medicine. We call medical treatment, medicine. Doctors are experts on it. We call it manipulating the symptom. Not healing, manipulating the symptom, suppressing the symptom. So, if you want to be healthy, if you want your child to be healthy, you have to allow it to go through the process of detox. Support the detox, allow the fever, allow the nausea, vomiting, the diarrhea, allow it, support it by replenishing the lost plasma, because every time you urinate, every time you defecate, especially with diarrhea, all this liquid is plasma, it's not water. Your body does not hold water. Sweat, plasma, it's all salty. Urine is salty. There is a salt in your excrement. There is a salt in your sweat, in your tears. Every liquid that your body shoots out is plasma. It's water in electroconductive state. And it's put into that state through mineralization of ions. We call them salts. So, you can see better and better how we have been brainwashed into shielding ourselves from natural medicines. Salt is natural medicine. And basically, if you are living next to the sea, it's free. Drink seawater. Oh no, you cannot drink seawater, you're going to die. Well, we are being brainwashed. It's not true. Try it. I tried it. You can drink seawater. Of course, gives you gag order because body is not used to something. It will protect itself. So when you have such a salty water, you want to swallow it, you get spasm. You cannot even breathe because you have to slowly take small amounts, take a wet cloth and chew on it, and whatever liquid comes, swallow that. And little by little, you will adjust the body, you will show the body that this is okay, and then you will be allowed to drink it. You can then drink it with the glass, no problem. And you will see you will not die. But what will happen? You will get nausea, you may vomit, you can have diarrhea, you will sweat profusely, because you will go to very strong detox, because body has to eliminate all the surplus, and you have big surplus of minerals in a seawater. Salinity of the blood is only approximately 9 grams of salt per liter of blood. Salinity of the sea is around 30-35 grams of salt down in warm sea, down by equator. It's less salty north, but So it has more than 3 times the salinity of the blood, which means 3 times more minerals, which body cannot utilize, so it will cleanse them. Your urine will become very, very salty. Okay, it's like playing the broken record over and over again, but we are so afraid of salt because of our indoctrination that it is unimaginable to us that what I'm saying is true. There is no other way but trying it. We learn through experience. So, if in doubt, try it for yourself and see what happens. But remember, detox and high concentration of undesirable elements in the blood, which we may call blood toxicity, are the symptoms generated we call disease. Because we are told by our scientists that this is disease. And when you start drinking very salty water and you start eliminating toxins, you will have symptoms of disease. Dis-ease. You may vomit, you'll have diarrhea, you may have fever, because we are eliminating surplus, we are eliminating toxic elements. So if you suffer from any kind of a skin disease, including keratosis pilaris, then cleansing is the way to go. And if you don't know how to, follow self-healer's protocol. It is all about eating correctly, the correct diet, which is nothing what we are being told, and drinking plasma, mineralized water, water with salt. The only salt recommended is natural, not refined, not iodized sea salt. Because it is exactly the same as our plasma, but with different levels of elements in it, but all the same elements. It's the healthiest liquid, it's the elixir of life. It's not the urine, it's a plasma. Okay, my friends, I think that I have answered your question here on keratosis pilaris. It's easy to heal, but you have to go through cleansing process. Drink a lot of plasma, correct your diet, keep away from plants. Plants are medicinal. They can be used for targeted cleansing, but you don't need that. You can go strictly into correct diet, which is animal-based, raw animal diet, and hydration through diluted seawater, 3-to-1, or adding approximately 9 grams, 10 grams of salt, sea salt, not refined sea salt, in a potable water. Mix it and bless it. Through blessing, you are raising the frequency and crystallizing the water, making it easier absorbable. And miracle happens. The body heals. Thank you for listening. Till next time, love you all. God bless us all and namaste.